Hello everyone, today I'm going to be showing you how to make 16 half square triangles at a time. You know how much I love my half square triangles. I do have a quilt that I plan on making that requires a lot. I need actually 16 per block, so this is going to be a perfect method for me to use then. The squares that I have here are 11.5 by 11.5, and I'm going to be starting by drawing a line right down the center horizontally and vertically. These are going to be my sewing guides and also my cutting guides for later when we are ready to start cutting. I'm using a heat erase pen here, but you can use whatever you want. This is on the back side of the fabric, so it doesn't really matter. So once we have those lines drawn, we're going to lay these two right sides together. Just make sure that you have them lined up nicely. I'm going to pin them in place. You don't have to if you don't want to, but I figured I'd throw a few pins in there just to keep it from shifting around while I'm trying to sew it. I do have other videos on my channel. One is about 4 half square triangles at a time, or 8 or 32. I hadn't done the 16 one yet, so I forgot to put it apparently. So we're going to do that one now. All right, so we are ready to start sewing. So we're going to sew a 1/4 inch on either side of the lines on the vertical and on the horizontal. And then we're going to sew a 1/4 inch all the way around the outer edge. I plan on making a quilt using half square triangles because there's so many options and it's going to be kind of like a sampler so you can see all the different variations. I will show a couple of variations at the end of this video. So if you want to see how that's going to look. I did order a fat quarter bundle by Riley Blake called Butterfly Blossoms. I plan on using that with some nice background fabric. I figured that would make a really nice quilt. So make sure you're subscribed if you want to see how that quilt's going to turn out. I will be doing blocks on that very soon. I do have a couple of other little projects right now, but the plan is to get that started in the next few days. So I'm just going to sew around the outer edge here, and then we have all of our sew lines done, and then we are ready to go start cutting and getting all of our half square triangles. So I did use a heat erase pen, but I do want to iron this, but I just want to show you what it looks like before I ironed it because once I iron it, those lines will disappear. But now you can just kind of see where I sewed. All right, we are ready to start cutting, and I'm going to be using my ruler here, the 12.5 inch, just so that I can make sure that I'm cutting down the center of my block here. I'm going to be doing my vertical lines first and then my horizontal. I do have my rotating cutting mat here because it is a lot easier to cut with the rotating mat. You don't have to shift your fabrics around too much. And if you can cut everything in one slice instead of having to take it apart and then doing each piece individually, it does go a little bit faster. But if you are new, there's nothing wrong with it if you don't feel comfortable doing that. Now I'm just going to get a ruler that's long enough to go from corner to corner. I'm going to be cutting a diagonal from one corner to the next one. And then I'm going to rotate my mat and do the same thing from the other corners. And then we have to slice each section in half again. Well, you'll see in a second what I mean by that. I'm a visual learner. I learn a lot better if I can actually see what someone's doing. And I'm sure I'm not the only one that feels that way. All right, now once we've done that, now we need to do the short ones. This is where it can get a little bit tricky. You want to go from the center of one side to the center of the top. As I'm guessing it's just going to be a lot easier if you're just going to watch what I'm doing here. And try not to shift your fabrics around. But if you do, that's fine. Just push them together. You'll see in a bit here I totally goof up because, yeah, I tell you not to shift your fabric around and then I send mine all flying, but that's life and it's totally fine. You'll just see, as you can see, I pushed them apart. That's fine. Just line them up again as best as you can and then just put your ruler on from corner to corner and make your cut. And if you need to, move the fabrics out of the way. And if it would be easier for you, you could even when you make your horizontal and your vertical straight cuts, just take those 4 pieces apart and then cut an X because then it would be a little bit easier. But there you see, we have 16 half square triangles. So I'm going to find the gray line on my trimming ruler here, and that gray line is going to go right on top of my seam allowance, and I'm going to use a 3.5 inch one because that is what mine are supposed to be. And I'm guessing y'all probably want to know the formula on how to figure out how big your starting squares are. So while I'm trimming this up, and by the way, you can find that ruler on Amazon for a very good price, a lot cheaper than some other places. I'll link it down below. But anyways, the formula for this is you take whatever size half square triangle you want, the unfinished size. So I want these 3.5 inch unfinished, 3 inch finished. So I took 3.5 and multiplied that by 3.25, and that gave me 11 point something, and then I just rounded up to 11.5. And I have my 3.5 inch ruler here just to show you that the other ruler does trim very accurately, and I really like that one. It's a lot easier than having to line up that diagonal line all the time. So now I have them all done. I'll show you some variations, and I hope you found this video very helpful, and I would really appreciate it if you gave it a thumbs up. By doing that, you really help boost my videos, which helps other people see them and hopefully helps other people out if they have any quilting questions that I could possibly answer for them. And I do appreciate all the support that I have gotten on here. Thank you so much to everyone. And thank you once again for stopping in and watching. Until next time.